I told you the most destructive force in the OzOvals V8 supercar series right now isn't, a blown engine or unpredictable tire wear.
Right.
It's not even the terrifying 24-degree banking at Texas Motor Speedway. It's a commentator's microphone.
Yeah. I mean, if you're staring down the barrel of a mid-season points race,
Yeah.
you expect the math to add up, right? You expect
Yeah.
the telemetry to dictate reality.
Exactly. You're out there driving, doing the math in your head.
But we are looking at this mid-season landscape where the data says one thing and a terrifying, seemingly supernatural curse says another. It is just the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters out there.
Oh, mate, it's a mess.
We are watching this perfect storm of human error, mechanical reality, and sheer superstition just totally collide in the middle of a championship fight.
So, welcome into the deep dive. Today's mission for you is strictly high octane. We are unpacking a massive stack of freshly finalized telemetry data, the official race results, and some highly entertaining...
And incredibly ruthless.
Yes, incredibly ruthless Discord chat logs from the OzOvals mid-season. We are breaking down the shock results from round 10 at Texas, investigating the vicious return of the dreaded Watson curse, and diving into the hilariously chaotic Commentators' Picks Championship.
Which, ironically, might be the most cutthroat competition happening in the entire league right now.
Oh, it absolutely is. But let's start with the actual track, because before we get into the commentary booth drama, we really need to talk about the absolute clinic we just witnessed at round 10, Texas Motor Speedway.
An absolute ripper of a race.
Unbelievable. The American wildcard, Sean Signore, in car number 17, just pulled off a back-to-back victory. He took the checkered flag at Texas right after conquering the notoriously abrasive track at Darlington in round 9.
And winning Darlington and Texas back-to-back, I mean, that is a monumental feat of endurance.
Yeah.
Darlington eats tires for breakfast, but Texas Motor Speedway is just a completely different kind of monster. It's 125 laps. You only get 4 sets of tires for the entire race.
Which is nothing.
It's nothing. That means you are stretching these stints to roughly 30 laps a set on a surface that is just incredibly demanding on the right side of the car.
Right, and if you've ever tried to hold a line on a 24-degree bank with fading right-side tires, you know exactly how terrifying this is. You are basically driving on a knife edge.
Absolutely.
To me, doing Darlington and then Texas back-to-back, it's like surviving a cage match with a bear and then immediately running an ultramarathon. It's a brutal physical and mental feat.
Well, yeah, and what blows my mind isn't just that Signore survived it, he outdrove the field. He put down a blistering fastest lap of 31.795.
Wait, 31.7. I mean, I was looking at the split times.
Yeah.
And to hit a 31.7 at Texas in a Gen 3 supercar...
You have to carry massive entry speed.
Exactly, and just completely trust the mechanical grip of the car.
That 31.795 completely dismantles the whole wild card luck narrative that, some of the paddock was throwing around.
Huh?
You don't hit that kind of lap time through sheer luck.
No.
He managed the dirty air beautifully. Like when you are following another car, the aerodynamic wake just robs your front splitter of downforce.
Right, you get that wash.
Yeah, and most drivers overcompensate by adding more steering angle, which just scrubs the front right tire and degrades it way faster. Signore didn't do that. He kept his steering inputs incredibly smooth, outdrove the defending champion Gary Wellman, who took second in car number 1.
Great drive from Wellman, by the way.
Oh, fantastic drive. And Signore also kept Troy Davidson safely in the rearview mirror, who brought car 23 home in third.
Yeah, Wellman and Davidson definitely proved that consistency pays off, but Signore was just on another planet. The man had an absolute rocket ship.
He really did.
However, while we're on the subject of things that cannot be explained by pure science, we really need to pivot.
Oh, boy.
Because we have to talk about the guy who started in the best position to win, but was fundamentally doomed by forces beyond his control.
We are really going there already.
We have to go there. I am completely losing my mind over this. The Watson curse has returned, and it came back with an absolute vengeance at Texas.
I mean, it is certainly a very popular theory in the Discord channels right now.
For anyone who hasn't been following the booth drama, commentator James Watson has this uncanny, horrifying ability to ruin a driver's race simply by picking them to win. It's a documented phenomenon at this point. It's more than a theory.
Yeah.
Look at the setup. We roll into Texas. Adam Malone in car number 3 puts it on pole. He is sitting pretty at the front of the grid. He has the pace. He has the track position. His practice telemetry looks phenomenal.
All true.
And then James Watson opens his mouth on the broadcast and formally picks Adam Malone to win the race.
And the wheels immediately fall off the wagon, literally and figuratively.
Absolute disaster.
Mhm.
As soon as Watson picks him, Malone's race completely unravels. He gets slapped with a black flag for a pit entry violation.
Yeah, that was rough.
Then he gets caught up in dirty air, makes compounding errors trying to recover his track position, and the guy who started on pole ends up finishing down in 15th place. A full lap down from the leaders.
It was a tough watch.
I genuinely want to ask you, at what point do we stop calling this a coincidence and start calling it a supernatural threat to the OzOvals grid? Because I think James Watson should be banned from making predictions. He's actively ruining drivers' seasons.
Okay. While the timing of Watson's predictions always seems eerily destructive, let's look at the mathematical reality behind Adam Malone's race. The broadcast actually brings up a fascinating metric to explain this, which is the chaos average.
The chaos average. I love the terminology, but how does that actually map to Malone dropping 15 spots?
Well, it maps perfectly if you divide a driver's destruction and penalty points by their total trips down the track. Adam Malone is undeniably quick, but his driving style is incredibly aggressive.
That's true. He does push it.
He relies heavily on late braking and forcing the issue in heavy traffic. So when you suffer a minor setback,
Like a slow pit stop.
exactly, or getting shuffled back on a restart, you end up in the mid-pack mosh pit. Navigating that kind of turbulent air aggressively, it mathematically spikes your chaos average.
Okay, I see where you're going.
It makes a bad result, like locking up the rears on pit entry under immense pressure. Highly probable the pressure of the race caused the mistake, not the commentator uttering his name.
All right, I hear your logic. You're saying Watson just has a knack for picking drivers who are statistically likely to shunt when the pressure gets turned up.
Yes, precisely.
But if that's true, and Watson keeps picking guys who end up collecting the fence or catching black flags, then he must be dead last in the commentator's picks championship, right?
And this is where the midseason stats get genuinely hilarious, because despite allegedly cursing almost everyone he touches, James Watson is still leading the commentator's picks championship.
It makes no sense. How is he leading when he just picked a guy who finished a lap down in 15th?
Because he is surviving almost entirely off the backs of Team Rogue drivers.
Oh.
Yeah, if you look at the points breakdown, Watson's lead is being buoyed by Craig Roffey in car 030 and Perry Anastakis in car 144. For some reason, these specific Team Rogue drivers possess a supernatural immunity to the Watson curse.
That's wild.
Whenever he picks them, they actually survive the chaos and bring home solid top-tier points.
It's like Team Rogue is driving around wearing a tinfoil hat in a thunderstorm. Nobody knows exactly why they aren't getting struck by the lightning of the Watson curse, but it's working.
It's definitely keeping Watson at the top of the leaderboard.
Although, we have to note for everyone, the season is only halfway done. I was scrolling through the Discord logs, and Kobe Jordan is quietly, systematically catching up to James.
Yeah, Kobe is playing a very different game. He is playing the percentages.
Exactly. Kobe played it incredibly safe at Texas. He picked Troy Davidson. Now, Troy doesn't usually make the highlight reel for wild 3-wide dive bombs, but he stays out of trouble.
He's very consistent.
Right. And what happened? Troy paid that pick off perfectly with a very safe, very clean third-place podium finish. Kobe is playing the long game, while Watson is out here playing with fire.
Which brings us to commentator Paul Jackson. Because if we are analyzing the commentator's championship, we really have to roast Paul for his Texas performance.
Oh, mate, we absolutely do. Paul confidently, enthusiastically picked Giuseppe Maiolo for Texas.
Just unbelievable.
Now, Maiolo drives car number 992. His nickname in the paddock is literally Sledgehammer.
Which really should have been the first red flag when picking someone for a track that requires delicate throttle control and tire preservation.
Exactly. You do not bring a sledgehammer to a track that requires a scalpel.
No, you don't.
So what happens to Sledgehammer? He has a completely disastrous race. He didn't just have a bad run. He completely washed up the track, collected the fence, and caused a massive yard sale.
Bend it entirely.
He ended up with a disconnected car and finished dead last in 22nd place, 34 laps down. Paul Jackson, what were you thinking?
The community reaction was brutal, too. Like, if you look at the Discord chat during the race, even the other drivers were laughing about the pick. Someone posted, yeah, that PJ wanker sucks at commentary. Wouldn't listen to him either.
Ouch.
And then followed up with a crying, laughing emoji. It was just a spectacular miscalculation of driver style versus track requirement.
Well, Sledgehammer's crash is actually the perfect case study here.
Right.
Because it isn't just about a bad commentator prediction, it's the physical embodiment of what the telemetry is telling us about this mid-season grind.
Right.
Let's look at the data excerpts from Darlington and Texas to see exactly why aggressive drivers are binning it while Team Rogue seems untouchable.
Let's do it. Because you mentioned earlier that Team Rogue has this supernatural immunity to the Watson curse. But the telemetry tells a completely different, highly technical story. The paddock calls their strategy the Ghost Protocol.
I love that name. I was looking at the fuel and tire degradation numbers from the Ghost Protocol, and the specific drop-off rates caught my eye.
Oh.
The telemetry notes that right side tire drop-off at these tracks is usually around 1.3 seconds over a 40-lap window.
Yeah, that's the benchmark.
And on paper, losing a second and a half over a full stint looks negligible. But in these Gen 3 cars, because they rely so heavily on mechanical grip over aerodynamic grip, the second you lose that right front tire profile, that tiny drop completely shifts the car into terminal understeer.
Precisely. And we have to look at the geometry of the Gen 3 supercar to understand why that is so fatal at a track like Texas.
Right.
When you hit the 24-degree banking of Turn 4, the suspension compresses massively. The entire weight of the chassis loads onto that right front tire.
So it's a ton of pressure.
Huge pressure. So if you have been driving aggressively, sliding the front end to make passes, leaning hard on the steering angle, you have literally shaved the optimal rubber profile off that tire.
So when the track flattens out on the exit of the corner, the chassis unloads.
The chassis unloads, and the right front tire no longer has the structural integrity to grip the asphalt, and the car simply stops turning. You have terminal understeer.
That is terrifying.
The car ignores your steering input and washes straight up the track into the concrete. And this is exactly what happened to Giuseppe Maiolo. He cooked the right front early in the stint, trying to force passes, hit the banking, unloaded the chassis, and the sledgehammer met the wall.
And this is where Team Rogue's Ghost Protocol actually works mechanically. They aren't magically immune to Watson. They're fundamentally changing how they drive the stint.
Exactly.
If you read the driver notes and the sources, Perry Anastakis is described as strategic, clean, but passive. Craig Roffey is a multiple champion. They don't panic. They are lifting off the throttle 50 meters earlier into Turn 4.
Yeah.
They are rolling into the throttle on exit rather than snapping it to induce rotation.
They are also actively managing their brake bias as the stint evolves. Like as the right front tire degrades, they shift the brake bias rearward to take the stopping load off the front end.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, they are maintaining the slip angle of the car without crossing into the friction limit of the rubber. It requires extreme discipline.
So they naturally insulate themselves from the chaotic race-ending mistakes that aggressive drivers make. It's not a tinfoil hat. It's just incredibly smart, mathematically disciplined driving.
Exactly.
They are beating the Watson curse with telemetry, brake bias adjustments, and strategic patience.
Right. Watson isn't cursing people with some dark magic. His commentator brain is just naturally drawn to picking the flashy, aggressive drivers who make exciting moves early in the race.
That makes so much sense.
But those are the exact drivers whose telemetry profiles make them highly susceptible to terminal understeer under the pressure of a long stint. Team Rogue's driving style completely neutralizes that risk.
That is absolutely fascinating. Science beats superstition. Well, usually, because Adam Malone getting black flagged on pit entry right after Watson picked him still feels a little spooky to me. But I'll concede the tire degradation point.
The data rarely lies.
So let's summarize this absolute chaos as we look ahead to the rest of the season. We had a massive shocker at Texas. Sean Signore proved he is a legitimate championship threat, taking back-to-back wins with raw, blistering pace and incredible tire management.
And Gary Wellman and Troy Davidson proved that smooth throttle application and keeping the car out of the fence will consistently put you on the podium, keeping them well in the hunt.
Meanwhile, the mid-pack is an absolute bloodbath. The Watson curse struck pole sitter Adam Malone down in his prime, entirely ruining his Texas run. Sledgehammer Maiolo lived up to his destructive nickname, causing Paul Jackson to get absolutely roasted by the entire Discord server.
And yet, through all of this chaos, James Watson is still clinging to the lead in the Commentators' Picks Championship, entirely thanks to Team Rogue's highly technical Ghost Protocol saving his predictions from his own curse.
It really makes you wonder who is actually pulling the strings out there on the track. Are the drivers dictating the pace, or is the telemetry dictating the drivers? So, for those of you following the OzOvals series, look at the data from your own perspective.
Yeah, what do you think?
Are you buying into the superstition and the psychological drama of the Watson curse? Or are you a telemetry nerd analyzing the ghost protocol, realizing that right front tire degradation, chassis loading, and terminal understeer are the real puppet masters of the midseason?
It's the ultimate debate of motorsport. But if we connect all of this, the commentators' picks, the mechanical reality of the Gen 3 cars, and the psychological pressure, it leaves me with one final, rather provocative thought.
Oh, I always like where these go. Lay it on us.
We've established that the Watson curse is essentially just the mathematical probability of aggressive drivers failing under pressure, combined with the track's tire degradation limits.
Right.
And we know James Watson is currently surviving the standings by picking highly disciplined drivers from Team Rogue.
Mm.
But what happens if James Watson realizes this dynamic? What happens if he decides to weaponize his picks?
Wait, what do you mean weaponize them? Think about it. If he knows his prediction acts like a spotlight of pressure that breaks aggressive drivers who overdrive their equipment, what if he starts intentionally picking the drivers he wants to lose?
Oh, wow.
If he wants Kobe Jordan's picks to fail, he just points his microphone at the most aggressive driver on Kobe's radar. Could a commentator, armed with the psychological weight of a curse and an understanding of the telemetry, actually manipulate the outcome of the OzOvals V8 Supercar Championship?
Oh my goodness, that is genuinely diabolical. Using the curse for evil, a commentator running psychological warfare from the broadcast booth.
It could happen.
Well, I guess we'll just have to keep our eyes on the Discord and wait for round 11 to find out. But until then, just remember, when you step into the world of sim racing, sometimes the perfect math really is smashed to pieces, and you're just trying to survive the sheer chaos of the mid-pack mosh pit.